agus fàilte go trí seascad den program ag BBC ALBA le bornich albanach an y spórs ag eich ria. Is mis Iona Ballantyne agus mi thoirt ag fel sé uair an program yn teachcinnse yn para-lùth-chleasaiche Rebecca Sellar. Ar program na heiche noch, heeft sin barach amach mu Rebecca agus an opair eiche gus ball-coise harach sin gan a h-uile duine. Cluinnidh sin bhfuil Megan Quigley, si tsinneag ar céad game gan a club eiche agus a Hannah Chapman againn mar a heise feuchainn an tlia dómh and a spórs chead. Rebecca, welcome to 360.
It's lovely to be here.
It's so nice to have you on because we have had you on as a feature guest before, and it was lovely to hear your story, but actually today to have you in the studio, it would be great to hear about you and sport just from the start. When did you first fall in love with it? Because it's been such a huge part of your life.
I fell in love with it the moment I got the chance to.
Did you? When was that?
I've always been an active child and now adult. From the word go, like I had my operation to become an amputee from when I was 1, and like even the day after that I was jumping about in the crib, apparently scared the life out of my mother, but like as soon as I've ever had the chance to play any sport or do anything physically active, it's just what's made me happy in life, like riding a bike, roller skates. So when I started primary school, which I was born in Wales and moved up to Scotland, and it's my Scottish primary school I think of mostly when I think about my younger education. Every single time we played or we got an opportunity to try a sport in PE or the clubs, I wanted to do it. I remember swimming, which was one of the bigger and maybe one of the more scary ones that we did, because I had to go to the pool and maybe leave my prosthetic at the side. We had cycling, we had the football club, netball, cross country, and I remember as well doing an assault course like in the gym hall. Every time we had something, I wanted to do it. I loved sports day. I wasn't the fastest and not always the best. Like cross country, I definitely had my ticket or my place was like in the third digits when it came to number-wise.
You're probably quicker than me at cross country, don't worry.
And looking like, oh my goodness, I just remember a shoe being left in the mud at one stage, running past it. Like, but I just that's what's always kept me happy in life, is being physically active. It's just any chance that I've had, I've wanted to do something. So in primary school, when it came to P7, when we got our awards, I got given the Girls' Sport Award. And it was for just basically trying everything. I didn't come top every time, but I wanted to do everything whenever I got the chance. So yeah, like it continued into high school as well. That I started, like we get into high school, that's where you maybe start thinking a little bit more, you recognise and you compare yourself to others. And that was a stage when I started thinking, I'm not normal, how am I going to handle the attention? What should I be doing? Do I want to play sports? And I still really wanted to. But I started dropping back a little bit from it and maybe didn't feel like I went to a really big high school. And that's where I started being a bit more conscious about people's reactions to me. So I did end up playing gymnastics, I was in the skiing club, I tried the football out, there was a hockey, loads of different things. PE was my favourite thing anyway. And I loved it. That's where I started dipping off a wee bit when it came to sports. And maybe when my own disability started affecting me a bit more physically, I was starting to get aches and pains. And that's when I first started attending a physio and we started looking at my joint issues. When I went on to university, I remember being super excited again. And I started looking into the extracurricular clubs. And that's when I was like, I just don't feel like this is my place. I'm not keeping up with everyone anymore. Like I'd had people who were going to gym classes and I went to gym classes and thought, it just feels like I'm trying to adapt to these activities so much more than just enjoying them. Like say a Zumba class or a spin class, every move I was basically finding myself going, oh, well, I can't do that, so I'm going to do this. And it just became too much adaptation rather than just enjoying it. So that's where I started falling away from it. And I forgot about it really. Like I graduated, I got my job. And by the time I got my job, that's when I wasn't doing any sports. I was doing barely nothing. It was work, go home, do nothing all weekend to recover and then go back to work. And that's where there was something missing. I was physically unfit because that's all I was doing. And mentally, like I was really struggling. I've always been someone with high anxiety. And it was through the roof because I wasn't doing anything with my time. And frankly, I'm just not burning off any anxiety. So I reached out to like disability groups there and then to try and see what is available to me. I think I might be disabled enough to take part in disability sport, which is like a really big thing for people with disabilities. Like especially ambulatory disabled people like myself who walk, they sometimes think that we're not disabled enough to take advantage of disability sport, which is something, a kind of stigma that we need to work around and break down. So I found wheelchair tennis at that stage, and I found amputee football and climbing, and I found all of these in the space of maybe 1 month, and just
But it's been you since, hasn't it? How important then has para sport and disability sport been for you? Did you feel a real difference when you did find those teams and those groups?
Like I can't begin to describe how much of a difference it's made on my life, especially having a team sport, climbing, which is very individual, and tennis, which like they all have a different kind of style of play, and it gave me the confidence it gave me happiness, and it provided me with such a social life and such a change. Like I've got so many strong communities around me now. I'm physically so much stronger and happier and healthier. Like I can't begin to think where I could possibly be if it were not for these sports. Like I wouldn't be in the job I am. I wouldn't be in the place I am now. And frankly, like I've made so many changes in my life since then that have been all for the positive. And I don't think I would have ever done these things if it hadn't been for them. It's madness.
But you've also been leading the way for women, especially in amputee football, haven't you? Because that was a huge thing. You were the only woman. Was it in the Scotland team when you started?
Yeah. So when we started out, it was myself and some other girls came along to the sessions. Hope Gordon, who I know has chatted on the show recently.
She's amazing.
She's fantastic. Yeah. She came along to the sessions, but she's got lots on her plate as well. Some of the girls tried them. Some of it wasn't for them. Other ones, like it was a very intimidating sport to get involved with, and it's physical, it's strong, and it's a bit scary if there's not many other women involved. And we went down to the English League to compete the first time. It was about within a few months, and I got scraped into the team because we didn't have enough players. And that's all I thought that it was going to be for me when it came to this sport. I just wanted to try something new. I was the only girl that was down there for this. There was about 6 teams, I think. And that's the first time, and it was like that for most of my time of play. I think I've played against one other woman the whole time I've been in this sport, on another team. I've never had another woman on my team, and for the Scottish national team it was just myself as well when we got selected and played. So we want to get more women involved, but when it comes to amputee football, I think our focus right now is to make it a mixed sport. We just need to make sure it's open to everyone. It'd be awesome if we can get a female team. But for now, let's just get a couple more women in the doors. I'll be happy.
Well, we will come to that shortly because there's so much more that we want to hear from you, Rebecca. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Hamilton Megan Quigley, cluiche ball-coise, nu rhai cluinnidh ag Hamilton Academical, agus an tísansa had dúilgan chici seachad chiad gamgaibh, chaisinig go Hamilton ag cluinnidh mu scílach Megan.
With Megan Quigley a casa stay on the ball-coise, a shall we call master in don cluinnidh. Bona sin chaiku Hamilton, agus candelier stap on ocean.
I started playing football, I have memories from when I was about 3 or 4 years old, playing with my brother, and then I started to play with my cousin, and I was desperate to get in and play with a boys team, but they wouldn't let me in just because of the changing room situation and things like that. So I didn't have a team, so I started just to play with the school team when I got sort of the end of primary school, and then still just playing with my cousin on the weekends and things like that. And then when I joined for the school team, and we used to go to tournaments. I'm from Airdrie, so we would go around the schools in Airdrie and play tournaments. There was a woman there, and I feel quite bad, I can't remember her name, I don't know who she was, but she must have worked for the club at the time. And she said to my mum, you should bring her along to Hamilton. We're training Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I remember my very first night and I was terrified. And I remember getting paired up with these 2 girls and they didn't let me go the full night. And I remember going home after it and I was like, Mum, please take me back. I want to play for them. And I played the game at the weekend and my sister took me out. She bought me new boots, new shinnies, completely new kit. and that was it. Like from then on, it was from that game I just never stopped playing. I joined right after that, and I trained every Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I didn't really know any girls teams then. Like I think even I remember I'm going to land them in it a little bit here, but I remember Celtic, they were trying to form like a sort of girls team, and I went to the training and nobody showed up. There was barely any players there, and I was like a bit like, oh, this is a bit rubbish. So I didn't know any other girls teams. It was like the very first team I'd heard about that had a girls set up, and I remember going along to training and there was like about 15, 20 girls there, and it was like unheard of. I was the only girl in my school pretty much that played football. So when I found Hamilton, it was like finally like there's something out there. It's crazy when you look back on it now, but that's the way it was like then.
Heis Megan amach san scipa oicri, agus hwdi corm cluiche sa chiad scipa ag siog, and they union a scipian a share sa dúich.
There's a bit of dispute. I don't know if I was 15 or 16. I think I was maybe just turned 16. But Bobby, I think, thinks I was 15. But yeah, it was against Glasgow City, so it wasn't ideal. But I think we got beat quite heavily. But again, it was just like the experience. I was up a few weeks before that. I was up like was a sub and things like that, and it was crazy, like the jump being that young as well. Because obviously, even though there was the youth teams were still quite like there wasn't that many girls playing in like the youth teams, and as you look at it now, there's brilliant talent that plays for like under 16s and under 15s. It wasn't sort of like that then. Even but the first teams were brilliant. Like Glasgow City's team back then were unbelievable, and so like players like Erin Cuthbert and things like that played for them at that time. So the jump was crazy, like it was unbelievable. So it was terrifying, but looking back on it now, it was brilliant. Like it was so special. As soon as I was in about the first team, I didn't want to really go back down. Like I enjoyed the much more the more professional side of it, even though it's not professional. At that time, like I enjoyed the taking it a bit more seriously and things like that, and playing with girls that were really good and really loved their football, compared to training just sort of Tuesdays and Thursdays. Like I enjoyed training a bit more and putting a bit more into it and working with like Gary and Bobby and things like that.
Inis cha Megan it courses on cluicheadair Hamilton on a chiad of turas, h-uile a ha a cialcha a dúamas ye.
I don't know where the time's gone, like being honest. I feels like I know the last year and a half, like we've not played that much football because of COVID, but even then, like looking back to when I was 15, I can't really bridge that gap. I don't know where it is, like how are we like where we are just now. I don't know how I'm nearly at 100 appearances, but I don't even remember them. Like, I don't remember, like it's crazy. It just feels like it's all just like blended into one. But yeah, like it's hopefully I make it 100 appearances this year. But yeah, even if I don't, like all the appearances mean the absolute like most to me. Like it's been brilliant playing here, and it's like those years of my life have been so much fun. I've met friends that I'm now best friends with outside of football, and like people that I can rely and depend on, and even like just my teammates just now, like just coming to trainings, it's brilliant. Like I love it. I look forward to it every single week, and I always look forward to a match day. So even if I don't make 100 appearances, all that time, like in the previous 11 years, has been worth it.
Gyda ha Megan agus a club tar iwsach gan teisense, a hula vinach it corta di gamor. Agus ha hen agus na cluicheadair an eile, son Shelton go bachorgai, a vi cluich sa league.
The league now, like the jump from last season, I think even to this season, and the league's been like massive. Like there's now some brilliant talent that plays up for teams like Rangers and Celtic and City, so it's just been really good, and it has been enjoyable. It's tough, but it has been enjoyable playing against teams like that, like really good footballing sides. And although we're not doing brilliant just now, like as you said, it's about putting things in place that maybe next season we can be more prepared and do a bit better. But yeah, it's all just about just enjoying it just now. Like as I said, like the teams are very, very good, and it's nice to play football compared to what it's been like the past couple of years. I personally just about like building confidence, like trying to tell myself that like as a team, like we can play in this league, and we do have like there's players that I play with that are so talented and are really worthy of like playing in a league like this. So just like I think it's like just for myself and my teammates, it's just we need to just try and make that true, like show that we can play in this league. So, and just about working hard, I guess, and just trying to see out the season, obviously not get relegated, because we want to play in this league and we want to play against these teams that are much better and have a professional status. So yeah, just keep working hard, hopefully pick up points. We're doing the right things, like we're not miles off it, so just keep picking up points and working harder than what we are just now to show that we do deserve to be here.
Rebecca, I can imagine there's a lot in there that you can relate to from so many different areas.
So much, like the spark for one that she has, like I can relate to that.
I thought that she's so passionate and you're so passionate, so you just totally understand
exactly like
why you love it.
It makes me happy that she managed to find her way into the sport that she clearly loved from the start. And I think it's important that we give girls the opportunity to do that, to actually try everything to find what actually makes them like so happy and at home. Basically, she's done absolutely incredibly, and she found her way into the sport, and is continuing to go higher and higher in it. Like, I wish her all the best. She's doing amazing.
And overcoming some hurdles too, like Megan was saying, the struggles with even changing rooms, which wasn't a long time ago. I know I saw you nodding your head during that.
Yep. So I've spoken more recently about the fact that one of the issues that I've come up against in the sport was that, thankfully not that much, but I have gone along to competitions and found that even though people have been given notice that I was attending as the only woman, people didn't make room for me and chose not to find me a space to change. So at one stage I ended up, for one competition, changing in like a storage room. The door didn't lock, there was a window looking out.
Wow.
My team were fully supportive of this, and we did get it sorted out by the end, but I had to make a bit of a huff and scene about that to get it changed, because it wasn't acceptable. So, and I've heard it now, like as Megan said, and I've heard it from other girls as well, is that they've been told, no, sorry, you can't do this sport because there's no changing facilities. And it's such a ridiculous reason to think that any girl might come along to a sport and then fall away from it because of something so silly. I find like Megan's she's a little bit younger than I am, and yet she's come up against that issue too, and she's of course not going to have been the only one. So it's a bit barmy that it's still a thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get round it, because this is where she found herself through having the choices and the opportunities.
Mm-hmm. It's so disappointing even hearing that's happened to you recently, and Megan too, and you hope that doesn't continue for much longer, because I know you do a lot of work of trying to get more people involved in sport too, don't you? How important is that for you to make sure that these barriers aren't there?
It's massively important, because we have to make sure that a pathway into sport is as seamless as possible. Especially, well, for anyone wanting to get into sport, it's intimidating at first, especially like a team game, or like if you haven't done sport in a long time, you're suddenly doing something, you're conscious of how you're doing, you're conscious, is this a space that I should be welcomed into? Do people want me here? And to be knocked back by something so silly or other silly things, we lose opportunities from people, they lose the opportunity to better themselves. And like, if I hadn't found my way in sport, as we say, like my life would be so different, that we don't want that. We want a better society where we're all managing to do what we love and find those passions, and hopefully through allowing people into these sports, we end up with like stars who are going to be able to do and like achieve so much, whether it be part of a team or individually.
And that's the thing, I mean, for you and Megan too, those barriers haven't stopped you. We know how passionate you both are, even Megan coming up for 100 appearances for Hamilton. It's so brilliant to hear.
Yep. Like I also relate to what she said about the fact that she got into this position where she's suddenly, not quite professionally, she said, but actually being taken seriously, not just training 1 or 2 times a week. That it's a lifestyle I found when I was training properly, that you get given your proper workout schedule. Every day you're thinking about what you want to achieve, what you're doing. All of your kind of thoughts and goals have aligned towards like achieving something. And it's just fantastic when you get that chance to like shine and actually prove yourself. But the idea of kind of having that kit as well, it's just like, I look back to what she says or see her saying that and just think, I know that feeling. It's just amazing. Like, there's no better feeling than actually being on the pitch playing that when you know you've done so much to get there.
We love it, and that is what it's all about, and that is what sport's all about. But we will be coming back to more of this shortly. Thank you. Hannah Chapman spórs charachin a ségi film Herbie a chiad. And is h-uile bhí a rééis a charachin ha mar farsle bhín ha feuchainn barach fóranich is cluinnidh a chaile chun an spórs.
A siwig I ffilm Hollywood ennimalechging, a driver albanach Hannah Chapman iddo brosnachach sonnig o cool h-uile.
I discovered it quite late, a lot later than I would have liked. I must have been about 16 when I discovered go-karting, and it wasn't like the proper competitive karting. It was just local corporate arrive and drive type rental cart stuff. It's quite a nice story, a little bit cringy as well, but it was the summer holidays from school. We were watching films and just trying to fill the time with stuff to do, and we watched Herbie, the Disney version of it. And yeah, but from watching the film, it was like, I want to do that. And we went go-karting quite soon afterwards, and I just loved it. I just was naturally really good at it, and from that first day in a go-kart, I was addicted. I went back all the time whenever I could, and yeah, so that's where it all began, age 16.
Be feuchainn die slie a lorach is deach chun a spórs, cha Hannah go farpas karting scoil of richting. Agus pa fé maich go die strí, gus I héna yerag.
That was amazing. It was actually hard work to get onto it in the first place. I discovered it online because I didn't know how to get into proper karting. So I discovered these rental kart championships and the British School Karting Championship. So I went to my school, and I was quite a shy kid at school, so it was quite a big deal for me to go to the head teacher's office and knock on the door and ask him if I could put together a team, and he said no. So I was really upset by that because karting and racing was all I cared about. So I went to my guidance teacher and I went to the PE department, and I was in floods of tears, very upset, and told them that he said no, and told them about the kart championship. So they all kind of teamed together and fought my corner, and we managed to change his mind. So that was amazing. I feel like that was quite an achievement for me as a shy kid at school, to persuade the teachers and the head teacher to let us put a team together, and we smashed the regional, the local finals, and got through to the national finals at Daytona, Milton Keynes, and I won one of the heats in that by 12 seconds, I think it was. So that was amazing as well. So yeah, really good experience.
Hannah I thuirt go mór san spórs a siwig a réiseach an na cúchba Mini Cooper na hallapa. Chuideach sin gí gus an brúataraich go riag, son páirse gáil ag farpas JCW Mini Drivers.
I started out in the Scottish Mini Cooper Cup. I did a part season in 2013, and then the year after that was really the making of me in the Scottish Mini Cooper Cup. I definitely found my feet with that. My teammates at the time were a huge help in me progressing. They spent a lot of time working with me and letting me follow them around the track, and yeah, I definitely progressed up the grid in 2014, and then I did a 6-year stint in Scottish Minis. So over those 6 years, I feel like I achieved quite a lot. So I'm quite proud of my time in the Scottish Minis, because it's led me to where I am now. So if someone had said to 16-year-old Hannah, who just started rental karting, I mean, when you think about Formula One drivers, they all start as soon as they can walk. They're tiny and they're in go-kart. So I'm almost an adult, 16 years old, and if you told me back then that I'd be in the Mini Challenge JCW Championship supporting the British touring cars, I wouldn't have believed it. And even in my Scottish Mini days, I didn't think I would get as far as I have, and it's just amazing to be on the support package of the touring cars, televised live on ITV4, and it's just it's so exciting to be a part of, and I just want to do the same as what I did in the Scottish Minis and in the karting, just start working my way forwards and progressing up the grid. And yeah, it's really, really cool.
Ha Hannah mar fars just spórs motor and ban, agus hain dochas go brosnig I para-lùth-chleasaiche gus réisig I a hain.
I've become part of Motorsport Women, who do a huge amount to inspire and encourage girls into motorsport. I was with them a couple of weeks ago at Donington circuit, and there was a young girl who came along, and she was lovely. She was called Aurora, and she was just started karting herself, and she's looking to progress in motorsport. And it was really nice to be with the girls, and rather than us all maybe hating each other, not that that's a thing, but it's nice that we're all there supporting each other rather than giving each other the evils, or it's I think it's important to get more girls involved, and if I can play a small part in inspiring young girls into starting go-karting or starting their own racing journey, then that's great.
As dúi I déalach ag die knachban staras a dríoch, a Hannah innse gamas an a bhí a miscúsin ag carich an chuairt verrichting.
Well, I'm already racing in a championship that I only dreamed of years ago, so what's next? I'm not sure. First and foremost, I want to earn my stripes and prove myself in the mini JCW championship. From there, I want to get as far as I can get. Obviously Formula One's not going to happen for me, but I would love to get to the British touring cars. That would be incredible, just to be on that grid. I'm already on the support package. Maybe one day I can make it right to the top of the ladder and race in the touring cars. That would be pretty cool. I think I'm quite proud of myself for making it as far as I have, from bouncing back from the many difficult moments that there's been along the way, and proud of myself that I've not let any incidents, crashes, fallouts, politics, any of that kind of stuff, budget, sponsorship. I've not let anything stop me from carrying on. I've always picked myself back up, and yeah, it's I'm quite proud of myself, and I look back on the journey really fondly. It's been a good journey. It's been a roller coaster, as I think every driver would agree. Their own journey's been a roller coaster in one way or another, but I've now found myself with a team, Hybrid-Tune Motorsport, who are fully supporting me and really believe in me. Every team I've had has believed in me, which is really nice. But this team this year, I think it feels like a start of a fresh chapter for me with Hybrid-Tune, and I can't wait to get started with them and really try and move up the grid and create another fond chapter to look back on in my journey.
Rebecca, it's funny because it's such an amazing story from Hannah. We will come back to that, but actually taking bits from the three of you on the show today, you, Megan and Hannah, you have all had to break down so many barriers just to pursue a sport that you love. How does that make you feel?
I'm really glad for Hannah and Megan that they both took those steps when they saw something they were desperate to do and were like, nah. The first time they got pushed back, we're like, no, I still want to do this. At some stage, hopefully, we won't have people doing that, but it's fantastic that they did. And it's amazing to look at where they've managed to get to from actually pushing and getting the support of other people around them. It's another example as well of how important it is to have a strong group around you who can support you, who are there and who want to see you succeed. They have such a strong drive to do what they love. We need an extra bit of help, and our teams around us are so crucial and make the difference. I think make and break time sometimes between managing to achieve what you want or having to keep going at it, keep chipping away at it.
Well, even for you and Hannah, they are both very male-dominated sports. I know with you being the only woman in the team, and Hannah, there aren't many girls and women involved in motor racing, but it's even just having that support so that you're not you can work together and it's fine.
She found, as it seems the same as that I did, is that when I went in there as a woman, everyone in the Scottish Amputee Football Association, everyone in the SFA, and my team, they all supported me. They all let me go as far as I could in the sport and gave me the chances. And it's thankfully so as well, Hannah's found that same sort of supportive network. And I think it's also really interesting what she said about trying to get other women into the sport, and saying that when she found someone else, it wasn't a case that there was any no attitude between the girls or arguing. It was a friendly atmosphere, and I think that's there's a stereotype for women that that's how it's going to be, And from being the only woman as well, you think, well, is that how we want it to stay? Like, I want other women into the sport as Hannah does. And it's a case of building each other up rather than trying to knock each other down. And I think that stereotype is far more, the stereotype itself is not true as to how things could be, but there is a little bit of that concern that maybe it could be like that. But in a sporting environment, it's all about just doing what you want to do, loving it and achieving it, potentially working with a team or solo.
Yeah. And you can see how much you love it. And for Hannah especially, her story is amazing. We do wish her all the best.
Absolutely.
I'm sure she'll go on to totally rock her career. It's so good to see. For you anyway, personally, you are still coaching tennis.
Yep.
There's a lot going on. I know you're kind of trying to get things back to pre-pandemic, aren't you? And getting everyone involved, because you know how crucial it is for the people who attend.
Yeah. So I had this like good amount of time where I was playing and got into a role where I was coaching before the pandemic came along, and it was already a firm part of my life. And in fact, just before, in the year before the pandemic, I'd taken that jump from moving out of the science industry to coaching full time. And I knew I'd had that year. I knew I loved it. That's what I wanted to do. The pandemic shut down everything. All the sports were wiped off the table. And while a lot of people could find ways to adapt and stay active and healthy, for disabled people, that's very different, because the gym might be shut. They may not have as many opportunities to get out. They might not have the right mobility aids. Say their wheelchair might not be useful for actually going long distances on pavements. So when the pandemic hit, so many people lost that chance to socialise, to stay fit, and to be happy. And so what I've been trying to do since is get our tennis sessions back up and running. We've managed to get the football up and running again. That's not down to my hard work. That's down to the coaches in the football doing that. We're seeing progress there, but we haven't with the tennis in Edinburgh yet. I've been given the amazing opportunity to start running that again, and I know the difference it can make. I know the happiness that I used to feel after playing and having my sessions. So I want that back for the others.
Well, there's a lot on. You've got the tennis,
Yep.
which is growing. It sounds like it's going really well. There's the football. There's also the climbing. Could you tell us about the climbing? Because I know you've got big plans there too.
Climbing is a personal passion. I have competed in a smaller national competition. It went quite well. I was very happy, and there was opportunities if I put work into it to go further with that. I know there is. So I at some stage would like to try it for the GB team. That's something. It's getting more and more competitive every year. It's definitely going to be more of a challenge than when I last wanted to try out, but it is something personally that I would love to give a go.
Paris 24, we're going to see you there.
If I can put the work in beforehand. I know I'm going to have Keith Lynch, who is I don't think he's on the team anymore, nagging at me to get back. I need to put more work in. I would love to get there for sure.
I have no doubt that you'll make it. It's so amazing to hear. But can you tell us, for anyone watching with a disability who wants to get involved in sport, what would you, who's maybe worried about even taking the first step, what would you say to them?
Give it a go. Get out there and try everything. Look at what opportunities are available. Get in touch with people. Get in touch with me. I'm on Twitter. If you want, we can chat through what opportunities are available. There's disability sport organisations all over the place. Most of all, they just need to get out there and give things a shot. They might not find a sport they like first time round, but there are opportunities out there, and the people involved with these charities and organisations are desperate to get you through the door. So all the support will be given to get there.
And like you, they could also be on their way to the Paralympics.
Yeah. Just need to give it a go.
Exactly. Rebecca, thank you so much for joining us this week. It was so lovely to have you on.
It's lovely to be here.
Thank you, and we will get you back soon. Well, sin airson in nach, in a h-obair be cluicheadair Glasgow City, Hayley Lauder, collarooms and studio. Jan Keen Shock of Elsheva Lengthen BBC ALBA or YouTube, or son a hula fis with h-uile againn. Agus Kainikev, give Derby neach in bio or BBC ALBA, li hips a cluiche hearts, out in SWPL Jadonic Sichian. Shiv and aithris.